Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and as promised, today I'm starting my playthrough series of Brook City. And apologies, this is only the box for the stretch goals pretty much. Because the other box was simply too heavy for me. I'm not quite sure which character I will be playing. I'm considering doing a two-player playthrough and one of those maybe the Dexter kind of guys. I think he comes with this stretch goals here. By the way, I didn't really get to the Kickstarter. For some reason, I didn't back it. I cannot really remember why, but back then I didn't really feel like it. But I was really lucky to meet a very nice guy, Stefan of the Geek, who really made a very fair offer trading this with me. So really, thank you so much for trading this game for me. And yeah, let's see how things go. Okay, and here we are. I decided to play with Wilson Fox and Selena Gonzalez. I will show you the character cards in a second here. I already played a couple of games in the meantime, and with some of the, let's say, case and criminal combinations in the end. I ended up with Jumpstart, which is one of the cases, or basically the only case that comes with the Kickstarter stretch goals. You see that here with this little icon, and Mickey Scott, who is a criminal from the base game. My very first game I played against Mickey Scott, and this one really crazy case didn't really have a chance. The next time I really went with a very basic combination of Slade, and I think it was the Slain Diplomat. This was that really felt like a cakewalk, and I really hope that I found at least a somewhat balanced case and criminal combination here. Overall, I'm really a huge fan of sandbox kind of games, but here it really feels completely random. So when you really totally rely on your luck and really pick a cop or the cops randomly and the cases and the criminal, then you really may end up in a situation where it's really far too easy or nearly impossible to win. And I'm not so sure if I like this one. Luckily, there are some really great guides now on the Geek in the meantime that really tell, okay, this seems to be a starter corp, this seems to be this, so you can basically adjust the difficulty to your needs. And I think with that, it really starts making sense. So let's have a look at our case here. Jumpstart. Traffic deaths has been inundated with calls. Cars are being stolen all over the city, ranging from exotic quick-scenes to those annoying dingle hippers. We've been unable to finger anyone for this epidemic until now. Last night we caught a break when Mickey Scott's younger brother Skid got arrested for trying to break into an '89 Bradwell. Little troublemaker got his brother to bail him out, and now he's back on the street. Works in our favor though. Skid's a known associate of Cynthia Marrow, aka the Boost Queen. Her crew was supposed to be out east, but if Skid's here, the rest of them are too. I've put APBs out on them and double patrols throughout the city will find Marrow's crew. Just need to hope my crew can keep up. And then we have our criminal, Mickey Scott. Rockstar trendsetter and a bad boy extraordinaire. Scott's a troublemaker of the highest caliber, and Brook City has the scars to prove it. He's thrown furniture from hotel balconies for fun, loosed animals from the zoo to see what would happen, and vandalized record stores for selling bootlegs. He very nearly had martial law declared when he told fans at a concert to start a riot so he could feature new clips of it in his next music video. He's an unpredictable psychopath, which is why his tours stop here. Has me on the edge. His latest single's been banned from the airwaves, and rumor has it he's told his Valkyries, what he calls his groupies, to flood the city with copies of it. We need to nip this in the bud before we end up with another Scott-centric riot in our hands. Okay, it seems that the little brother of Mickey is involved in our case. Really was not aware of this. But yeah, I think let's kind of get started by having a look at our first cop, Wilson Fox here. Apparently he's from Beverly Hills Cop, and his special ability says he can encounter with 2 dice, and then you may place 1 progress on a crime in your crime area. That's definitely helpful. He can take 12 strength until it's out, and this is again one of our losing conditions. If one of our cops basically gets to or exceeds his stress level, then we immediately lose the game. This is really something which we have to make sure it doesn't happen. And next we have Selena Gonzalez. She's always prepared as an action. She can encounter with 2 blue dice, and then you may resolve the prepared effect of a tactic card you control. That's definitely something. Her stress level is a little, or her maximum stress level is a little bit lower. She will be out with only 10 stress, but again, we will try making sure this doesn't happen. Up there we have the criminal area with Mickey Scott, who starts the game on his card. Later on he will tour around the town for so-called gigs. The gig rule is being explained here, and I think I will not go into much detail here. I will explain those mechanics when they are basically activated. Then we have the leaked singles. This is pretty much his, not his operation card, but some special card from his criminal deck here, because those asset tokens are tapes for him, which we can encounter. And this is pretty much one of the ways that we can lose, not immediately at least, because when we're ever running out of those assets here and we have to place one, then one influence is put on the card of the operation card here. Whenever Mickey has 4 influence of this card, then we also immediately lose the game. Next, we have our case area, and I think I can leave the case area pretty much in this stand here, because there will be no really cards that gain progress or whatever. Everything is really kept in our criminal area, but I come to that in a second. In order to win this game, we have to pretty much gain control over 5 of those clues. 2 of those clues are already out on the board, basically part of that setup for this case here. And those clues start the game in the criminal area of each of the cops. So each cop starts the game with 1 clue in his area, which will then activate at the end of the, let's say, according player's turn, and then they will move towards a location. And when they have reached their destination, something terrible will happen on the operation card. This is pretty much one of the way where we gain really a lot of stress. And this is the purple clue. So in order to gain control over this tool, we have to bust this clue, which 3p is pretty much how, let's call it, how much health the card actually has. So we are playing with 2 cops, so we need 6 successes on this card in order to bust it, and then we gain control over it. I've also already spawned the lead down here in Parasol Farm HQ, so this is something which gives us, let's say, a great special ability. Once we can discard this lead when we picked it up, and then something good will happen. I would show that to you in a second. But you also need those leads every now and then in order to, I don't know, dodge any bad effects from, I don't know, case events, for example, or some of the operation cards also refer to any investigator or cop who doesn't have a lead has to suffer this or that, for example. So gaining those leads is definitely always nice. And in this case, it's corporate interest. We can ditch this card for 1 influence from each card in your crime area. There is flavor text on that card, and I think I will read the flavor text when it comes up. So when we pick it up, then we see what happens. Apart from that, the game itself is not so rich in respect to flavor that's coming from those cards. I believe those event cards from the case deck, they come with things. Then, of course, those leads come with that. Of course, we have the introduction coming from our criminal and from our case. But apart from that, that's definitely not Eldritch Horror, where you go something and then you have to read some text and know what's going on. But still, the theme really comes through in this game. I saw a lot of discussions on the Geek that it's failed opportunity, you could put in so much more flavor, but I think that's definitely, for me at least, not the case. This whole cop theme comes through within every aspect of the game. But I guess let's get started. We will start our first cop turn here. This is a good thing which I like about in a game like this. You always get to choose the player order. Every round you can redecide who should go next and so on. Of course, this can, I get that, make the game a little bit longer, because you have to discuss, hey, I should go first and then you go first. But it really also gives you a little bit more feeling of control rather than just following clockwise around the table. Okay, we will start the cop turn, and I don't know, it doesn't really matter in this case. So let's simply start with a blue player who is Wilson Fox. We will start the dispatch phase here. Refresh cards in cop play area. We don't have any exhausted cards, and then we draw 1 criminal card. This is something which is bad, apparently, because this is something that we have to deal with. And here we have found our first criminal. It's a menace setting trends. That's one of his Valkyries, I guess. So we will place her here on R10. That's Jeb's Bottle Shop.
She has a trend rating of 1, so with 1 influence she's already considered to be trendy, which is usually not a good thing. And when she would activate, then we would have to suffer 1 stress or would have to place 1 influence on a crime. But I come to that. Those are her resistant values, and this is her health, so she needs 5 successes in order to be defeated, which is definitely not too easy, to be honest. But let's place her down here on R10. Yeah, that's Jab's bottle shop. Really great job that he put out those coordinates here. Really helps you a lot finding those locations. And then we can basically take our turn. So we move into the act phase. So we can move, we can play or draw a card, and we can take an action, which then could be again following move action or doing a card action, taking a hunt action or interaction. We can do that in any order we like. And there's also one important thing there where is a lot of discussion on the Geek. During each of those steps, the move step, the card, and the action, you can either enter a vehicle or exit a vehicle. Which you control in this case. So whatever, you can move in with the move first and then move stuff, then you move into the card step, you can move out and do stuff, but you can basically do that 3 times during your round, unless you have another effect from one of your cards which allows you to do something else. Okay, I think, yeah, let's start moving. And the overall idea is to basically try to bust the clue which is currently assigned to Selena Gonzalez, which is perfectly legal. So even it's controlled by Selena, so it will activate during a turn, but still everyone can engage this clue or the criminal, whatever it is. And there is also this asset here, which we should try to get rid of too. So yeah, let's jump into the car. So we put it onto our BCPD Cruiser, which is a pretty nice car because we can exhaust it in order to move 1 extra space or extra street for each crime in your crime area. Right now he has 1 crime in his crime area, so that's total movement of 4 plus his basic movement of 3. And we can ditch this car, pretty much to remove the car, and then we can move to any location on the board, but then we have to commandeer a different car. So we then need to go back to the precinct in order to get this car back. But you always have the possibility of gaining a car or a vehicle in this game. So we are in our cruiser, and then we are trying to move, I guess. So we already have used one of our enter exit vehicle steps, and then we can move now 1, 2, and we are always moving streets with cars, not space. So this is always a street, one of those cubes here. 1, 2, 3 and 4 when we exhaust the car, that is. So this means we pretty much tilt it sideways, tap it if you want. I think next I want to do my card steps. So I play 1 card or draw 1 card. Let's play 1 card, which is the tactic here, know your enemy, which allows me during each of your, I think that's the, what is it? I think standard approach or something like that, we would gain 1 extra die. Always a nice thing. And tactics are cards that really stay in play unless you choose to discard them or are forced to discard them. You may encounter a crime up to 3 spaces away. This is really awesome. And yeah, the prepared effect is something when you have the same tactic card on your hand and you play, then you get to play the prepared effect instead of having the same tactic twice in your play area, which is not allowed. So let's grab this card and place it into our play area. So now it's active and we can use it. And I see that it's really a card which I don't have to exhaust. It only has inert effects, which is really, really great. During our card step, I want to leave the car, and I can leave the car into every adjacent space pretty much next to my car. We leave the car where it is. This was my card step, and I think for my action step I will simply do a hunch action, which pretty much gives me 1 hunch, and we need those hunches for all sorts of stuff. In this case, I think let's spend it right away in order to get rid of that asset here, because the leaked singles card tells us that a cop near a tape, which is one of those assets, may discard 1 hunch during their turn to discard that tape from the board. And we can really, during your turn, we can drive by, we don't have to stop here, but in this case we really reached that space right away. So I think that's perfectly fine. We will spend the hunch we just gained in order to remove that asset. In this case, the asset simply moves back to the leaked singles or the leap takes, and this slows Mickey Scott down a little bit. We can still enter the car again because we entered the car during the move step, we left the car during the card step, and now we are in the action phase where I took the hunch. So I think, yeah, let's get back into the car, into the cruiser for now. And that more or less ends the act phase of Wilson Fox. So we come to the crime phase, which is unfortunately something that happens to every player's turn. So activate each card in your crime area left to right by resolving its activate ability. Plain as that. Which means we will start with our clue here, which was the first card in our crime area, Cynthia Marrow. Starting street T1, we already placed her. We'll look at the activate ability. The attached vehicle moves 3 streets towards its destination, which is Q30. So she's currently down here driving this, what was it again? This was, sorry, the Bradwell, right. So she will move 3 spaces towards her exit space, which is pretty much on the far right of the board in this case. So we will move 1, 2, 3 spaces here. Keep in mind this is controlled by Wilson, but again, right now he's not trying to get after this. Maybe this is something for Selena to go for, but for now I'm not too concerned about this one. This was the first card. Next we will activate her, who is right now at Jeb's bottle shop, and she will not really move. When she activates, you must either suffer 1 stress or place 1 influence on a crime. Right now, that's the only crime that's out there. All the other cards are not crimes. And this is really important distinction to make. And in this case, I think I still feel kind of okay. So I would rather take a stress. Oh, this was the wrong token. 1 stress, which we will place next to Wilson Fox. So right now he's coming closer to being defeated, but right now I'm still feeling okay. We should not really start placing influence too early on those cards. Then last thing to do is to draw a card. We are not drawing up to 4 cards. We're really only drawing 1 card. There is no hand limit whatsoever. And here we have an ability, keep them guessing. We will have a look at that when we need it. Then it's Selena's turn. She starts also her turn with drawing a criminal card. In this case, wow, we have drawn an event, Bootleg Bandits. Each cop must either suffer 1 stress or place 1 tape in a random location. Oh, wow. Okay, let's decide. I think both of our cops will take 1 stress. I think it's still early enough. We don't want to place those tapes back on the board. So Wilson is now already at 2 stress. And then, if Mickey is on the board, he's not. Each cop must either discard 1 hunch or suffer 1 stress. Right now, he's still out there on his club or wherever he is, so we are not going for this second effect here, which is kind of okay. I think Selena wants to move to the southern part of Brook City. First of all, I think we should go after this lead, because this will immediately also spawn a new lead. And yeah, there is a clue down there. And we also have a criminal down there in this, I guess, liquor store down here, Jeb's bottle shop. Yeah, this makes sense. So I think, yeah, let's follow the plan. So with her, or during her movement step, she will enter her car as well. Then she will move, but her problem, quote unquote, is she doesn't have a crime in the crime area, so she cannot move far enough. Oh man, this is bad. But still, let's follow the plan. So she will move 1, 2 and 3 spaces. In theory, she could now ditch the car, but then she wouldn't have to move here. So I think doesn't really help her, and I think overall that's okay. For her card step, she will play the Shared Knowledge Tactic card. And again, tactic cards are cards that are really persistent from turn to turn. This is a great one. She can now exhaust it, gain 1 hunch, and then move any number of your hunches to this card. Any cop may discard 1 hunch from this card during an encounter to gain an extra die. This is really amazing. So yeah, let's totally do that. So we will play this card, or exhaust this card now. She will gain 1 hunch, and it says then she may move those hunches. And I think, yeah, why not? Let's put those hunches there. Everyone could use it later on. Really great team player. And then we are pretty much already in our action step. And I guess for her action, she will simply move. And again, she will move 1, 2, 3 spaces as part of her action step. She can now step out of that card next to the lead, which allows us to pick it up in order to grab the appropriate lead card here, which says headquarters of the corporate giant responsible for the infamous little purple pill. It's where most of the clinical trials are conducted, some of which are purported to be illegal. We've been keeping an eye on it lately, hoping to substantiate these claims. We can ditch this card, or the cop can ditch this card, to discard 1 influence from each card in your crime area. This is really, really amazing. Problem is, each cop only can have ever 1 lead card at a time, but still, I will take it anyway. Great card. Then we immediately can draw a new lead, and it seems we have some concerned neighbors here. Jersey Run Apartments. Ditch. Place 1 progress on a crime. Also a very nice lead, to be honest. It goes to R22, which is actually also not too far away from her, but again, doesn't help us. That second lead doesn't give us anything. And I believe this was her act phase, so we move into the criminal step, which means we will activate all of her cards. Right now she only has the clue here. The attached vehicle moves 3 spades towards its destination. This is good because it moves, not Cynthia Merrow, Rip Luga 1, 2, 3 streets closer to Axel Foley, sorry, Wilson Fox here, and he doesn't even have to leave the car in order to encounter him. This is really working out pretty well. This was her step, nothing else would happen. Last thing to do would be to draw her card, so she's back at 4, and then we move into the criminal turn, where we activate all cards with an activate effect that is from left to right. We start with a publicity tour here. If Mickey is on his suspect card, which he is, he plays a gig. Otherwise, he plays 1 tape in a random location. So let's see, what does gig mean? Place Mickey in a random location. Random location is always determined by a lead card, but we only go for this coordinate here, which is R2. Then place a tape in a random location unless the cops discard a lead. And this is why it's so important that you have those lead cards actually. And I think we should really start using those, especially because there is a lead relatively near to Selena Gomez here. First of all, we have to place Mickey, that's clear. He goes to R2, which is also not too far away from Selena Gonzalez actually. So that works out pretty well. And I think she wants to, yeah, let's discard the lead so he's not placing a tape. I think right now that's still okay. The coordinate card, the random card, also gets discarded. This is not just another lead, we're just using it for the coordinate. Then we move to the next card, the lead singles. Place 1 influence on a crime. Okay, let's do that. We only have 1 crime in play, so I really should have done that. I should have read the card more carefully, but okay. Let's place 1 influence onto the one and only crime in play. She has a trend value of 1, which means she can only take 1 influence, and if she has this 1 influence because of the 1, she counts as being trendy, which is now important for the next effect here. Then each cop that has at least 1 trendy crime in their crime area must either place 1 tape in a random location or suffer 1 stress. And again, I think Wilson Fox has to take yet another stress. So this is really starting to pile up actually. And totally different when you play this to Slade Harper. This guy, this Mickey Scott, is definitely much more challenging actually. Those were all of the criminal cards, if I'm not mistaken. So next we move into the case turn, and here is an activated fact. If there is no clue in play, there is a clue in play. For each vehicle that has reached its destination, there is no vehicle that reaches destination. Then discard that vehicle card and shuffle the card. Okay, so nothing happens here in respect to the activation, but of course we have to draw a new case card, and I think these are either clues or those are events. In this case, it is an event, hot pursuit. Each cop who controls a lead may move 3. Okay, yeah, we just discarded our lead. How cool is that? Each cop who doesn't control a lead must either discard 1 hunch or suffer 1 stress. Are you kidding me? Wow, this is tough. Now I'm really not sure if this hunch still counts as a hunch, because again, we can discard it in order to get an additional die, and not so sure if it's still a normal. I think for me it's now only a counter and not really a hunch. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but for now I think she has no option then to take another stress. And wow, Wilson has already 4 stress, so he's 1/3 down. And keep in mind, when we reach 12 for him, we immediately lose the game. Wow, that's mean. But that's pretty much the end of our round. So the last thing to do would be the end phase. Each corpse flips their turn card to its cop side, which is of course the same card here, which simply gives us an overview about what to do next. And then we would move into the next round with starting with a cop turn. But I think I will stop for now, or for today. Hope you are enjoying my little playthrough of Brook City. Forgive me if I will most likely be doing some rules mistake. The rules are some perspective vague. There's already great discussion on the Geek, which helps you sort out some of those things, but still I may not be able to cover all of those errors or FAQs or whatever is out there. So bear with me. I will try to do my best in order to fix things. Again, make me aware of any major mistakes or also minor mistakes, and I will try to repair them during my next episode as much as I can. And yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.